I'm Dave Potter with Digital Journal. We're here at Inventures, and I'm joined by Robb Stoddard of BioAlberta. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So can you tell me a little bit about BioAlberta? What is it that you guys do?
So BioAlberta is an industry association that's member-funded and member-driven. We try and shape the life sciences and grow the life sciences sector through thought leadership, advocacy, and economic development. And we're here to be the voice and champion for the companies in the health innovation sector who want to commercialize and help grow the sector in Alberta.
What's the biggest misconception that people have about success in the life sciences space in Alberta or in Canada generally?
I think the biggest misconception or the biggest difference between a typical innovation sector and life sciences is that life sciences has a longer commercialization and regulatory pathway. So a typical software development will take somewhere between 18 to 24 months, is a relatively simple technology set, and it's very much brain-driven. Life sciences, when you're dealing with creating molecules or creating medical technology, you're looking at somewhere between 8 to 14 years of regulatory approvals, multiple levels of clinical trials. So it's a different type of investor. It's a more patient investor. It's a more understanding investor and entrepreneur. And although it's still very research and lab based, they're in it for the long haul.
And so when you're thinking about it, you can't rely on the idea of fail fast that you see in the tech space a lot. What kind of additional supports or different supports do the life sciences businesses need?
Well, I think the fail fast terminology is still valid. There's a lot more that's being done in the last 5 years to help companies validate their technology, and Alberta Innovates has been a critical supporter in creating opportunities with groups like W21C for technology evaluation, IRAP with the federal government, Institute for Health Economics, to give entrepreneurs and funders a sense on what that ability is for that company to actually have a commercial runway at the end of the day. So it does allow those companies to pivot or actually pause and move in a completely different direction. So I think that's although we might modify fast a little bit, it is still an important part of the idea phase of the sector.
You've said in the past that there's a lot of structures for the startup side of businesses, but there needs to be more for the scale-up side. What do you think the missing gaps are there, or what needs to be closed?
It comes down to time and money in a lot of cases. So as the companies in the growth phase, there's tremendous opportunities through angel investors, through different funds, through non-diluted sources, through Alberta Innovates and other funders and providers. But the difference between a seed to Series A company in the tech sector looking for $500,000 and a seed to Series A company in the life sciences who's going into a first round clinical trial, they're looking for checks of adding a zero. So you're looking at $2 to $5 to $8 million for that same round. So it requires different type of supports, and it requires different type of investors, and it requires funding knowledge early, so companies or entrepreneurs don't dilute themselves before they get into the high growth and high needs phases. So there's actually something to carry that company through.
What do you think the biggest mistake is that you see when companies are looking to go sort of from the lab into the corporate world?
I think that the two things that those companies are lacking a lot of times is a business-focused or an experienced business team at the executive level, and a real understanding of the requirements of the investors that they're going to need to be able to move forward.
You've talked in the past about the need to sort of strategically invest. How do you balance the need to sort of be inclusive and look at a wide variety of businesses, but also making strategic choices for investment?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. You've talked in the past about the need to pick winners more strategically. How do you balance the need for inclusive investment, inclusive opportunities with making those choices, those selections for what you invest in?
Well, I think all of the investors' goals are based on a level of success or with a tolerance of risk. So, excuse me. I think when it comes to being more strategic on your choices, it comes around having proper teams, manage the investments. Governments typically have not been good at picking winners and losers. I think that's a role where they can rely on experts and the external environment to be able to provide that. And I think that the way the Alberta government does it, working with Alberta Enterprise Corporation, working with groups and angel groups and the investors they've brought in, I think provides some of that capacity while we grow it in Alberta to actually be able to make those choices on a little more investor focused, a little more business minded approach.
And so we have a new government federally. If you had a wish list or something you could ask the government for, what would be at the top of your list?
Dedicated investor funds for our sector, for life sciences. We're accustomed to being technology and life sciences, but a recognition of the needs of life sciences and that more complex regulatory path. We would want a reduction in the red tape and the timeline and the cost it is that our companies incur when it comes to Health Canada regulations and regulatory approvals, which is an absolute barrier even for the natural products sector. The cost is almost prohibitive for them to get approved and operate and manufacture in Canada.
If you were advising a company that's sort of getting ready to scale or getting ready to grow, where would you advise them to put their effort or their time or their money? Is it capital? Is it team? Is it where would you suggest?
Yes. I think it's. You can't grow without money. You can't proceed without money. I think that critical leadership from a business standpoint is important. So, C-level executives in the company who understand commercialization and understand the ecosystems they will be walking into. Most founders in life sciences are in the lab. They are brilliant researchers in the lab. So my advice to them is usually to find or surround themselves with people who are as brilliant and experienced in the business world to help them manage that and navigate that.
If you're meeting somebody who's sort of coming from the lab's background or from the sciences side, are there characteristics that you see in somebody when you meet them for the first time? Like, I think they'll be successful?
You want to see that passion and that drive, and most of them have it. You want to see them looking at what the commercial opportunity of that passion is, and really that passion will take you a long way. And then my biggest advice to them is build those mentors and those people around you who are going to advise you, not always from a paid standpoint or a staff standpoint, but find those people who have done it and built it. There's great examples and legacies in both Edmonton and Calgary in the ecosystem of people who will gladly give you time, advice, and show you some of the scars they've had in order to get success.
Alberta in general, and Edmonton in particular, is really known for its strength in life sciences and for the talent that exists. What's the one lever that you don't think is being pulled fully?
Well, I think when you look at Edmonton and Calgary, Edmonton is strong in biotech, pharma, and molecular development. Calgary has a great ecosystem when it comes to tech and digital, and brain and some other sectors. So each ecosystem in the Alberta ecosystem has its own strengths. So I think the importance is just being able to tap into that ecosystem, be part of something broader, and actually be able to have the confidence in what you're doing academically and clinically in order to translate that to commercial.
So last question. There's a lot of talk these days about the need for Canada to function more holistically as a nation. Do you think there's greater opportunities for organizations in Alberta to work cross-country, or are there complementary industries in other provinces that you'd like to see work better together?
I think there is, and I think we do. The life sciences organizations that are similar to BioAlberta in each province already work together, collaborate. We treat each members almost as if they're our own. We'll help them connect into an ecosystem. As companies look at clinical trials and technology assessments, it's in order to have a distributed clinical trial and get the diversity. They're already working with different sites across the province. So I think those collaborations are already happening. I think that Alberta's number one objective as that as those pieces continue to evolve, is we continue to grow that foundation here for clinical trial excellence, for startup and scale up investment strength, and actually increase deal flow, and that will attract talent, that will attract further money, and that's what will grow the sector.
Great. Thanks so much for your time today.
Anytime. Thank you.
For more on the innovations taking place in life sciences and biosciences here in Alberta and across the country, check out digitaljournal.com.